Welcome back to The Great Expanse by JonBap426 here on YouTube. It's always a pleasure to record these videos, to edit them, and then upload them for your viewing pleasure, I hope. Hope it's not viewing displeasure. Hope you're not going, he uploaded again. What are we going to do about this JonBap426 great expenditure? But anyway, I hope that you guys are enjoying them. Whenever you see a notification, I hope there's a bell going off inside of you as well. Ding, 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 ding. Signaling greatness, fondness. Anyway, if you've liked the videos that you've seen thus far, hit the like button. If not, hit the dislike button. Share these videos with other people that you know that like comic-related stuff as much as you do. Subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications. All, not personalized or the one underneath, but all, so the next time a new video is dropped, you'll know about it second. I'll know about it voice. One. Red. Champ. Alright, so this is a video, it's not an article, because when I checked the DCU news and the MCU news, they were kind of all about the same thing. Right now in the MCU, they're just talking about the upcoming Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie that's coming out, which I don't have a lot of anticipation for because I'm not a fan of the Guardians of the Galaxy. I love the actors and actresses, but I'm not a fan. And I saw the first one. I did not see the second one in the theaters. I saw the first one in the theaters, let me clarify. The second one and the third one I will not be seeing in the theaters, okay? Because I'm just not anticipating those kind of movies, all right? So it's been talking about how, it's going to do terrible at the box office. And I don't want to really project any kind of negativity like that. You know what I mean? Even though I'm saying that I don't really want to see it. I don't want to come on here and do an article and say, told you it was going to be terrible. That's not what I do, okay? I don't create a buzz around negativity. So everybody's talking about, it's not going to be great in the box office. The reviews are going to be poor. You can go to other channels about bashing stuff, okay? And I kind of bash stuff a little bit too, but it's usually my reaction to something, all right? So that's all the MCU news was around. And in the DCU news, they're talking about James Gunn talking about Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So I'm like, let me do this video. Now, I had this video set up a long time ago, but this is one that's close to the heart because it's about the X-Men. Okay? The X-Men are my favorite comic book hero group. All right? As I've said in the previous video, they're my favorites. Right before the Justice League. Okay? Now, of course, the Justice League could defeat the X-Men. Superman alone could beat the X-Men. All right? But the X-Men are my favorite. All right. So this is my top 10 X-Men. Okay. Not X-Men villains, but X-Men. Members of the X-Men. All right. And let me just go with the honorable mentions that don't make the list first. And hopefully you guys don't have any tomatoes. No. Anyway. Here are the honorable mentions. Some of them were tough to leave off the list too, but they're my favorite, okay? So it's not like the most powerful. No. No way. Because this person would probably be number one. But I'm talking about my favorite. But it's still tough to leave some of these guys off because they're dear to my heart, the X-Men are. Honorable mentions. Jean Grey, the most powerful X-Men ever. Also debuted as Marvel Girl, and then she was Phoenix, and then she was famously Dark Phoenix. Doesn't make the top 10. So this top 10 list was very difficult to say who's going to make it, who's not going to make it, what order is who going to be in. So this was tough for me. Okay. Iceman, Bobby Drake. I loved Iceman and Spider-Man and the Amazing Friends, which featured Spider-Man, Firestar, and Iceman. I always loved the graphic of when Firestar and Iceman get into their costume. They both had an awesome transformation sequence. Firestar doing the and just like almost exploding and being in her outfit. Iceman freezing himself and breaking out of the block and his Iceman. Awesome. I love Iceman, Bobby Drake. I don't like the fact that they suddenly turned him into a gay character. Because he wasn't a gay character, but now all of a sudden he's gay, and I don't appreciate that. It's like if you're gonna make a gay character like North Star, who's a great gay character, come on, don't do that just to pander. All right, that's like all of a sudden Bobby Drake being black all of a sudden. Come on, man. Next one, tough to leave off the list. Rogue. And I never knew what her full name was. I think is it Anna Marie something? Maybe Anna Marie Darkholme, like her stepmother Raven Darkholme, who's Mystique. And of course, Rogue got the star treatment in X-Men the Animated Series. One of the standout characters. Tough to leave off my top 10. Havoc. Alex Summers. Difficult to leave off the top 10. Professor X. Charles Xavier. Portrayed masterfully by Patrick Stewart. Is he Sir Patrick now? I don't know. Portrayed masterfully. One of the ideal castings for live action films, which I've said on a previous movie, by Patrick Stewart. Tough to leave off the list. Deadpool. Wade Wilson, the Merc with a mouth. Difficult to leave off this list. But again, it's a list of my favorite X-Men. And Deadpool's been an anti-hero. He's been on the bad guy's side. He's been in between. He's been on the X-Men. So I just have him listed as an X-Men, okay? And one of my favorite characters of the X-Men. I'm sorry, Wolverine stole Cyclops' Jeep and they're driving down the street. No, it's not. But anyway, Strong Guy. Yep. Strong Guy. Guido Carosella, former bodyguard for Lila Cheney. I always loved Strong Guy in the second incarnation of X Factor. And the second incarnation of X Factor is my favorite incarnation of X Factor. With Alex Summers, Havoc, Lorna Dane, Polaris, Jimmy Madrox, the Multiple Man, Bobby Drake, Wait, was Bobby Drake a part of that? No, was it I think it was Quicksilver, right? I think it was Quicksilver. Pietro Maximoff, Wolfsbane, Ron Sinclair, and Guido Carosella, Strong Guy. That's my favorite X-Men. X Factor incarnation, okay? So, let's go to the list. And there are some surprises on this list, but again, this is a list of my 10 favorite X-Men, okay? Number 10, Phantom X. And we're going to start right out the gate with the surprises. Phantom X, Charlie Cluster. Very convoluted backstory, but one of my favorite characters because I'm still trying to figure him out. I'm like, I don't understand the concept of 3 brains. I don't get it. And then he was created in, I think he's part of the Weapon 10 program, I believe. So they're kind of like stretching the Weapon X program where you got, Wolverine, Sabretooth, Omega Red, Maverick, and what was his name? Wraith. John something. The black dude that just popped up out of nowhere and teleport. So they're kind of elaborating on the Weapon X program. They're kind of expanding it like the Great Anyway. So Phantom X is a favorite character of mine because I'm still trying to figure out who he or she or they are. It's like, what is their power set? Like, they have powers of misdirection. I think they were created in an artificial world. So I'm still trying to dive into the character. And it's almost like an obsession I have with Phantom X, okay? Number 9, Nightcrawler. The incredible Kurt Wagner. Bamf. The Demon. Now, that's his appearance. They say that he is possibly the child of Azazel, or is it Azrael? I think it's Azazel. Azazel and Mystique. And at the end of X-Men First Class, they sort of hint at it, because I think she's standing next to Azazel before they all teleport off the beach. Okay? But I've always loved Nightcrawler. I've always loved his interactions with Wolvie, James Howlett. Okay? And Nightcrawler is just a very compelling character. I especially love the way he was portrayed by Alan Cumming in X-Men 2. That White House scene, easily one of my favorite superhero sequences of any superhero movie in live action. Always loved his acrobatics. And I love sort of fish out of water characters, or perhaps I'm using the wrong terminology, but the fact that he's a saintly demon, I love that irony, those ironic characters. Just like Gorilla Grodd, one of the smartest and most powerful psychic beings, and it's a gorilla. And usually you say, "You stupid gorilla," So, and of course, Granny Goodness, like her name is Granny Goodness. She looks like an old woman, but she's a very powerful, evil, malicious god from Apocalypse. So Nightcrawler falls into that category of those ironic characters that I just love. And I love his character. I love the way he's written. I'm not a fan of his newer, dark side, sort of flirting with evil and being like a cold-blooded killer. I think that's kind of a cop-out. I do. I honestly think that. It's like, he like tried to kill Apocalypse a couple of years ago, and that's not his original character. Come on, writers. Come on, editors of Marvel. Get it straight. Please. Number 8. Remy LeBeau. Monsieur Gambit. From the Bayou. I wish I had a set of cards. Or maybe I can do a special effect. Nope, no cards. But Gambit. Another character that's really fleshed out in X-Men the Animated Series. I didn't really know much about Gambit either. Okay? But he's written very well. He's a very mysterious character. Now, we know from the comic books that he was originally I think he was an agent of Mr. Sinister. And he leads Mr. Sinister's marauders to the Morlock tunnels where they slaughter the Morlocks. And that was a secret of Gambit's for years, obviously, because he helped with the slaughter of fellow mutants. And Gambit's always been somebody where you're not really sure where his loyalties are. Even as a part of the X-Men. They're like, Gambit, what are you really about? And of course, there was the period where Gambit was an Omega level character. And I'm not a big fan of too many super powerful characters. That's why I don't read as many comics nowadays, because everything is like cosmic on Earth. It's like, keep the cosmic stuff in space, keep earthly stuff on Earth. Because now there's really no humanity to comics anymore. Except like the forced humanity. Oh, I don't know who I love now. Do I love men or do I love women? Do I love... That's politics. That stuff should have been done before it became political. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, and I'm kind of veering here just because I want to make a point. Now, Tom Baker said that, yes, I'm veering. Tom Baker said that Doctor Who, the Doctor, should have regenerated into a woman in the 70s when it wouldn't have been popular, when it would have been a novel idea. But now that, gender fluidity is just so political now, and it's kind of like in our face in the political landscape, it's kind of like, well, what do you expect? What else are you going to do? So that's why I'm saying, like, please, like, don't force political issues into our Marvel comics, our DC comics, our Dark Horse comics, our Image comics. That's of a social nature. It's like, comics, do better. Be ahead of the curve. All right. Let me get off my soapbox. Okay. Sorry, I got a notification. Love you, but get off the screen. Thank you. Number 7. Piotr Rasputin. Colossus. Again, this list was just so difficult to put in order of who I like more. But Colossus, definitely a favorite. Definitely somebody that I wanted to see more of in live action. He's probably better done in CGI in the Deadpool movies than he was in X2. Even though I really liked him in X2. I don't remember the name of the actor that portrayed him. His name will appear here. Is it Daniel Radcliffe? No, that's Harry Potter. Something, whatever. His name will appear here. Colossus, fan favorite. Always loved his fights with Juggernaut. Always appreciated, again, somebody that always defended Storm, who always defended the leadership of the X-Men when Wolverine always wanted to do his own thing or talk bad about people. Colossus and Storm were always characters that were like, Wolverine, what are you doing? It's like, let's work as a team. And, Colossus's origins, he leaves his farm, and I don't remember the name of the farm. I should know it. He wasn't on a plantation, but it was called something, or whatever. And he's somebody that's really trying to make the world better for other people and his family. And I have nothing but love for Colossus. Okay. Number 6, one of my favorites, even though this is a list of my 10 favorites. Beast, Hank McCoy. Again, in my opinion, one of the ideal castings of all time is Kelsey Grammer portraying Hank McCoy, okay? Who was the Secretary of Mutant Affairs in X-Men The Last Stand. Not my favorite X-Men movie, but I think Beast was the standout of that movie. But I've always loved Beast, even before he became the blue, fur-faced furball that he is now. I just love the fact that he had simian proportions when he was in the yellow and blue in the original incarnation of Charles Xavier's first class of X-Men, along with Bobby Drake, Scott Summers, Warren Worthington III, and Jean Grey. I love his, again, sort of the brains behind the Beast thing. He's like, who's this animal? And he's like one of the smartest characters in the Marvel Universe. Always loved Beast, definitely somebody close to the heart, okay, because he's a part of the original X-Men, all right? Number 5, Cyclops, the heart and soul of the X-Men in the field, okay? Don't ever confuse the movies. Wolverine was never the heart and soul of the X-Men. Wolverine didn't have the dedication to the team that Cyclops has, and he didn't even have the leadership qualities. Cyclops, a leader through and through. Now, when you talk about fan fictions or like sort of like Death Battle or like Superpower Beatdown, I always wanted to see Cyclops fight Batman because they're both masterful tacticians. Cyclops, in order to get the team back on track in the Proteus saga from the early 80s, and Proteus was the son of Moira MacTaggert, okay? But he takes on Storm, Nightcrawler, and Wolverine for a short period, not for a long time, single-handedly. And he can predict what their powers are because he's such a great leader. In order to get them back in the game, he challenged all of them, 1-on-3, just to make sure that they were on their square. Because they were all affected mentally. And afterwards, Wolverine was like, he had some respect for Cyclops. He's like, I appreciate that, man. He's like, I was trying to kill you. And Cyclops was like, yeah, so I'm glad you're back on the team. Because, he can't withstand the 3 of them for long, all right? Cyclops never got his just due in the movies. Very disappointing, okay? Not disappointed in how he was portrayed by James Marsden and Ty Sheridan, the younger Scott Summers. But the fact that he was never the lead disappointed me, because that's not true to the character. Now, I know you can't go, as I've said before, you can't go shot for shot in live action based on panel for panel in comic books. It's not the same medium. It doesn't work. But Cyclops, definitely one of my favorites. Should be the central character in the upcoming MCU incarnation of the X-Men. He better be. But anyway, whatever. Number 4. Storm. Aurora Monroe. Powerful character. The most popular black character ever made. Even more, well, before the Black Panther movies came out. Everybody was like, oh, Black Panther. But Storm was the original. Okay? I mean, she was the most popular. Black Panther was created before the Storm character was. But Storm has always held that baton of being one of the most powerful female characters, one of the most powerful black characters. Storm just has so much character to her. When she lost her mutant abilities, that's when she got the Mohawk, and she was still leading the team. Because, like Cyclops, she's a kick-butt person. She's a great tactician. She defeated Callisto to be the leader of the Morlocks for a short period of time. I think she gave Callisto leadership back. But Storm, awesome character, awesome leader. I love her backstory. I love the fact that she has a pronounced weakness. She's claustrophobic. And of course, Dr. Doom, Victor Von Doom, made the mistake of incarcerating her in a metallic form, almost like Colossus, except she was a statue and she wasn't mobile like Colossus. But her claustrophobia took over. And then when Dr. Doom was forced to free her, she was like Dark Phoenix. You'll see the comic cover here. But that just goes to show you the scope of Storm's powers. But she's such a strong character that she knows how much is needed and how much lightning to use, how much wind to use without destroying the environment around her, because she appreciates the earth. She's in love with, Mother Africa, where her parents are from. Even though I think she was born in New York City and they moved to Cairo, Egypt. I love the fact that she has that history with the Shadow King, and Charles Xavier personally came to her rescue to, recruit her and to bring her to safety under his protection because of his mental powers. Storm is just an awesome character. Easily one of my favorite Marvel characters and one of my favorite X-Men characters. Number 3. Cable. The Man of Tomorrow. Or is that Superman? Maybe Cable's the Man from Tomorrow? I don't know. Nathan Dayspring Summers. And I love the introduction of Cable first. And then we see the introduction of Nathan Christopher. And we can't put it together yet, okay? Because Cable was leading X-Force. He was a really it's almost like Saul Guerrero, even though he's created well before Saul Guerrero. Sort of an extremist, sort of had the making the world safe for mutants, like Charles Xavier, but his approach was just more militant. It's almost like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, okay? Even though they kind of compare Professor X and Magneto more to Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. But but Cable was more along the lines of militancy to protect mutants, okay? And the New Mutants were his recruits for X-Force. And you can sort of see some of Cable's militancy in his recruits because they love Cable. And some of my favorite stuff is from the Executioner song, because that was kind of my introduction to Cable too. And of course, his clone from the future, Strife, great stuff. Even when Cable was seemingly destroyed, at the end of the Executioner song, his return, coming back to our time period, reuniting himself with Sam Guthrie, who plays Cannonball, who's almost like a son character to him. And then they go and confront Magneto, and Magneto just like nearly kills him right away. Like, I just love Cable. Cable, easily one of my favorite X-Men characters, one of my favorite Marvel characters as well. Portrayed by Josh Brolin, even though I wanted Stephen Lang to play Cable, and I think a lot of other people wanted Stephen Lang to play him, and Stephen Lang played the blind veteran in Don't Breathe, and he played the Colonel in Avatar and the sequel Avatar to The Way of Water. Great actor, Stephen Lang, but we got Josh Brolin, and it wasn't disappointing. Josh Brolin is a great actor, all right? Cable, one of my favorites. Number 2, I believe this will surprise many of you. Ron. My second favorite X-Men. Wolverine. So immediately they're like, okay, so who can be his favorite X-Men? Okay. Wolverine, James, Logan, Howlett. One of my favorite heroes, period. One of my favorite superheroes, period. Okay. Wolverine. Just so much story with Wolverine. The backstory. You could really do I'm going to say Netflix style Marvel series based on his backstory alone. Now, I'm afraid that if Disney Plus would ever touch a Wolverine series, it would just be a mess. Okay? Wolverine has so much gravitas to the character that it can't be PG, it can't be politically correct. It has to be roguish. You know, Wolverine is somebody that doesn't hesitate to kill people, even though he'll put his life on the line to save people. He's somebody that wishes for death because he feels cursed by the Weapon X, probably by his mutant powers too. But the Weapon X enhancements have just been like a curse to him. And you know, the sort of Born Identity, even though I think that Robert Ludlum's book series of the Born Supremacy and the Born Identity and all that came out after Wolverine was created in, I don't remember what year it was, but I know he debuted in The Incredible Hulk. He didn't debut with the X-Men. He debuted with The Incredible Hulk. That cover will appear here. All right. But Wolverine, one of my favorite characters. Tough as nails, of course. Classic battles with the Hulk. Classic battles with Sabretooth. He actually became a horseman of Apocalypse. A lot of people maybe aren't familiar with that are casual fans. But Wolverine, there's so much I can say about Wolverine. But instead, I'm going to go to number 1. Now you're probably thinking, wait a minute. None of his honorable mentions can be number 1. Who else hasn't been mentioned that it could be? And this may surprise you, okay? But my favorite X-Men has always been Angel. I can just hear the deflation from the crowd. Angel, really? I can hear the wind going out of your sail. I can hear the air coming out of your balloons. Angel has always been my favorite. And then when it became Archangel, it just enhanced who the Angel character was. Because as I've said in previous videos, I just love the artwork. I love the way people with large, appendages look in comics. As I've said with Dr. Octopus, with his arms. visually, that just does something to me. The wings of Archangel. I'm trying to think, are there any other characters that are like that? Like the tail characters, like the lizard, scorpion. That just does something to me visually. I just automatically gravitate towards those kind of characters. Angel, I've always loved the character. The fact that he was kind of a pretty boy, sort of playboy, Tony Stark-ish character. And then his world is destroyed when I think the Purifiers it was. When his wings are severely crippled, okay? And then I believe it was Cameron Hodge. I think it was Apocalypse, really, but they kind of staged his death. And so the rest of X Factor, which is comprised, of the original members of the X-Men, but they were posing as government hunters, to capture mutants, even though their idea was to save and set free these mutants, okay? So the rest of the X-Men team think that he's dead, and then we see the change from Angel to Archangel, courtesy of Apocalypse, one of the greatest storylines in the history of comic books, okay? And it really goes to show that when you come up with new ideas, when you take risks, when you have fresh minds that are just thinking outside of the box, you can really go far without, sort of orbiting around what's safe or what's status quo. Because this angelic character becomes this devilish metallic character. His wings go from feathered appendages to razor sharp daggers of death. And he was Apocalypse's four horsemen, one of the four horsemen. He was death. So he went from angel to death. So Angel, always one of my favorite characters. Archangel, easily. And I hope that didn't, well, I don't care, really, because it's my favorite. It's my list of my 10 favorite X-Men characters. So let me know what you guys thought of this list. Let me know what your favorite X-Men characters are. Let me know what your anticipation or hype is for the upcoming MCU incarnation of the X-Men. Again, I'm hoping that they don't ruin the X-Men. I hope they don't spade and neuter all the male characters. Even though the female characters have always been the most powerful. Jean Grey, Storm, Rogue, always been the most powerful X-Men. There's never been a debate about that, okay? But comment below, let me know. David Brent, please let them know where the comments go, sir. Thank you, sir. Do your part, I'll do my part, so that the great Expanse by JonBap426 can and will expand. It's in the name. Now let's see, how should we end it? Should we end it with Snicked? Should we end it with Storm? Or maybe we'll just end it with Kurt Wagner.